You're not tired. You're distracted. You're comfortable. And comfort is the most dangerous place you can live if you want an extraordinary life. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is waking up at 5 a.m., not because they have to, but because they choose to. While the world is sleeping, they are building. While others are hitting snooze, they are taking control. And that right there is the difference between average and elite. Let me tell you something most people won't. Success doesn't start when your alarm goes off. It starts the moment you decide not to negotiate with it. 5 a.m. is not just a time. It's a mindset. It's a declaration that you are done living life on autopilot. Because think about it, when you wake up late, your day already feels rushed. You're reacting, not leading. You're behind before you even begin. Your mind is cluttered. Your energy is scattered. And by the time you sit down to do something meaningful, you're already drained. But 5 a.m., that's different. At 5 a.m., the world is silent. No notifications. No distractions. No noise. Just you and your ambition. That silence, that's where clarity lives. That's where the millionaires separate themselves from the masses, because they understand something powerful. The first hours of your day don't just affect your morning, they shape your entire life. You see, waking up at 5 a.m. isn't about being extreme. It's about being intentional. It's about saying, I will not let my life be controlled by comfort, laziness, or excuses. Most people wait to feel motivated. Millionaires, they move before motivation even shows up. They don't ask, do I feel like waking up? They say, this is who I am now. And that identity shift changes everything. Because once you become the kind of person who wakes up at 5 a.m., discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like power. But let's be real. The first few days, they're hard. Your bed will feel warmer than ever. Your mind will start negotiating. Just 10 more minutes. You deserve it. You'll start tomorrow. That voice, that's the same voice that has been keeping you average your entire life. And every time you listen to it, you reinforce the identity of someone who quits. But every time you ignore it, you become stronger. Every time you get up when you don't feel like it, you're training your mind to obey you, not the other way around. That's how discipline is built, not in comfort, not in motivation, but in resistance. Now imagine this. You wake up at 5 a.m. You drink a glass of water. Your body wakes up. You step into the quiet. Maybe you stretch. Maybe you move your body. Maybe you sit down and plan your day. No rush. No chaos. Just clarity. You start working on your goals while everyone else is still dreaming about theirs. You're reading, learning, building, growing. By the time the world wakes up, you've already won. That's the power of the 5 a.m. routine. It gives you a head start that compounds over time. Because success isn't built in one day. It's built in what you do daily, especially when no one is watching. Most people only perform when there's pressure. But the people who win, they perform when it's quiet, when it's boring, when it's hard. That's why 5 a.m. works. Because it forces you into that environment. No applause. No audience. Just you doing what needs to be done. And here's something even deeper. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't just about productivity. It's about self-respect. It's about keeping promises to yourself. Because every night you say, tomorrow I'll wake up early. But when morning comes, what happens? Do you follow through, or do you break that promise? Because every broken promise to yourself doesn't just affect your morning. It damages your confidence. It tells your mind, my words don't matter. And over time, that becomes your identity. But when you wake up at 5 a.m. consistently, you start trusting yourself again. You become someone who does what they say. And that is priceless. Now, let's talk about the millionaire mindset behind this routine. Millionaires don't chase time. They protect it. They know that time is the only asset they can't earn back. So while others waste their mornings scrolling, sleeping, and delaying, they invest those same hours into growth. Because they understand something simple but powerful. If you win the morning, you win the day. If you win the day, you win the week. If you win the week, you win a year. And if you win enough years, you win your life. It all starts with one decision, one alarm, one moment where you choose discipline over comfort, But don't misunderstand this. Waking up at 5 a.m. alone won't make you a millionaire. It's what you do after you wake up that matters. Because you can wake up early and still waste your time. Or you can wake up with purpose, with a plan, with intention. That's where the real transformation happens. The 5 a.m. routine is not magic. It's a tool. And like any tool, its power depends on how you use it. So ask yourself this. If you had 2 extra hours every single day, distraction-free, stress-free, focused, what would you build? What would you learn? Who would you become? Because that's exactly what 5 a.m. gives you. An opportunity, a head start, a chance to rewrite your story before the world even wakes up. And the truth is, most people won't do it. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They'll choose comfort. They'll choose excuses. They'll choose later. But you're here for a reason. Something inside you knows you're meant for more. Something inside you is tired of being average. And that's where it begins. Not tomorrow, not next week, but the next time your alarm goes off. Because in that moment, you're not just choosing whether to wake up early. You're choosing the kind of life you want to live. So when that alarm rings, don't negotiate. Don't hesitate. Don't think. Just move. Because the life you want is waiting on the other side of discipline. And it starts at 5 a.m. You woke up. That alone already puts you ahead of most people. But now comes the part where most people fail. Not the waking up, but what they do next. Because waking up at 5 a.m. without a system is like having a powerful car with no direction. You'll sit there, engine running, wasting fuel, going nowhere. This is where the millionaire routine begins. Not with motivation, not with hype, with structure. Because high performers don't rely on feelings, they rely on systems. The first thing you do after waking up will either set you up to dominate the day or drag you back into mediocrity. So let's get this clear. No phone, no scrolling, no checking notifications. Because the moment you open your phone, you lose control. You hand your focus to the world before you've even owned it yourself. And millionaires? They protect their focus like their life depends on it. Because it does. Instead, you start with something simple but powerful. Water. Your body has been dehydrated for hours. Before anything else, you fuel it. Not coffee, not sugar, water. This small act sends a signal to your body. We're awake. We're ready. Then you move, not because you feel like it, but because movement creates energy. It could be stretching. It could be a quick workout. It could be a walk in silence. You don't need perfection here. You just need motion, because motion breaks inertia. And once your body wakes up, your mind follows. This is how you build momentum. Now here's where it gets deeper. After your body is awake, you train your mind, because your mind is your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. And if you don't control in the morning, it will control you for the rest of the day. This is where most people skip, and it costs them everything. You sit down, no noise, no distractions, and you get clear. Maybe you journal. Maybe you write your thoughts. Maybe you plan your day. But the goal is simple. Clarity. Because confusion kills productivity. When you don't know what matters, everything feels urgent. But when you're clear, you move with purpose. Millionaires don't just work hard. They work on the right things. And that clarity starts in the morning. Now imagine this while the world is still asleep. You've already hydrated your body. You've already moved your body. You've already trained your mind. You've already planned your day. You're not rushing. You're not reacting. You're in control. That's a different level of living. That's not luck. That's discipline. But we're not done yet, because the real power of the 5 a.m. routine is in what comes next. Deep work. This is where your future is built. This is where you separate yourself from everyone who says they want success but never creates the time for it. From 5:30 to 7 a.m., this is your golden window. No distractions, no interruptions, just pure focus. And what you do in this time matters more than anything else in your day. You don't waste it on small tasks. You don't waste it on busy work. You use it for high-value actions, building a business, learning a skill, creating content, working on your goals. Because let's be honest, most people say, I don't have time. But what they really mean is, I don't control my time. And 5 a.m., that's how you take it back. That's how you create time instead of waiting for it. And here's the truth most people avoid. You don't need more time. You need more discipline. Because the time is already there. You've just been sleeping through it. Now, let's talk about something uncomfortable. Consistency. Anyone can wake up at 5 a.m. once. Anyone can feel motivated for a few days. But can you do it when it's cold? When you're tired? When you slept late? When you don't feel like it? That's where the real transformation happens. Because success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do repeatedly. Day after day. Week after week. No matter how you feel. That's the millionaire routine. Not flashy. Not exciting. But effective. And here's the part most people don't realize. Your brain is always watching. Every time you follow through on your routine, your brain says, this is who we are. And over time, it becomes automatic. Waking up at 5 a.m. stops feeling hard. Discipline stops feeling forced. It becomes your identity. And once it becomes your identity, everything changes. Because you no longer rely on motivation. You become someone who executes. But let me challenge you with something. What are you doing with your mornings right now? Are you building your future or escaping your present? Because there's a big difference. Scrolling feels easy. Sleeping feels comfortable. Avoiding feels safe. But none of those things will move your life forward. And deep down, you know that. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Because something inside you is ready to level up, ready to stop making excuses, ready to stop delaying your potential. And it starts with ownership. Owning your time. Owning your habits. Owning your life. Because no one is coming to wake you up. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to build your dream for you. That's your job. And every morning at 5 a.m., you're either stepping closer to that life, or you're stepping away from it. There is no neutral. Every action compounds. Every habit builds. Every decision matters. So, if you're serious about becoming more, this is your moment. Not to be perfect, but to be consistent. Not to do everything, but to do what matters. And it starts tomorrow morning. When that alarm rings, you already know what to do. Wake up, take control, and get to work. Because the life you want isn't built someday. It's built daily. And your next day starts at 5 a.m. Now you've done something most people never do. You can just wake up early. You can just follow a routine for a few days. You stay consistent. And that's where things start to shift. Because the 5 a.m. routine isn't just about productivity anymore. It's about transformation. At first, it felt forced. You had to push yourself. You had to fight your own mind. But now, something is different. You're not fighting as much. You're not negotiating as much. You're becoming the person who just does it. And that's the real goal. Because success is not about what you do once in a while. It's about who you become every single day. Let me explain something powerful. Your habits are building your identity, whether you realize it or not. Every time you wake up at 5 a.m., you're casting a vote for the person you want to be. Disciplined, focused, in control. And every time you skip it, you cast a vote for the old version of you. The one who delays. The one who quits. The one who waits for the perfect time. So this is no longer about an alarm clock. This is about identity. Because once your identity changes, your life follows. You don't have to force discipline forever. You become disciplined. But here's where it gets dangerous. This is the stage where most people get comfortable again. They start strong. They see a little progress. And then they relax. They tell themselves, I've done enough. I'll take a break. I deserve it. And slowly they slip back. Not all at once, but little by little. One missed morning. Then another, until the routine is gone, and they're back where they started. That's why you have to understand this. Consistency is fragile. It doesn't matter how many days you've done it. It only matters what you do next. Because success doesn't care about your past effort. It responds to your present actions. So how do you protect your routine? You make it non-negotiable, not based on feelings, not based on mood, based on standards. Because when you live by standards, you don't ask, do I feel like it? You say, this is what I do. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs wait to feel ready. Professionals show up no matter what. And if you want a millionaire life, you need a professional mindset. Now let's go deeper. There will be days when you feel exhausted, days when your energy is low, days when your mind is not sharp. And on those days, your routine doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Maybe your workout is shorter. Maybe your focus isn't as strong, but you still show up because showing up keeps the identity alive. And once the identity stays strong, the results will follow again. This is how real discipline works. Not extreme, but consistent. Not perfect, but relentless. Now think about this. While you've been waking up at 5 a.m., what has changed? You probably feel more in control, more focused, more aware of your time. You're not rushing like before. You're not reacting like before. You're leading your day, and that's powerful because control over your time is control over your life. But here's something even bigger. People around you will start noticing. They might not say it directly, but they'll feel it. Your energy is different. Your mindset is different. You're not the same person anymore. And some people will respect that, but others, they'll question it. They'll say things like, "Why are you waking up so early? You're doing too much." Relax a little, because your discipline reminds them of their excuses. And not everyone is ready to face that. So don't expect everyone to understand your journey. This path is not for everyone. It's for the few who are willing to do what others won't. And that's you. But let me remind you of something important. This is not about waking up early just to prove something to others. This is about building a life you're proud of, a life where you're in control, a life where you're growing, a life where you're not stuck. Because staying the same, that's the real failure. Not failing, not struggling, but staying in the same place year after year. And the 5 a.m. routine, it breaks that cycle. It forces growth. It forces action. It forces change. Now imagine where you'll be in 30 days if you stay consistent. Imagine 90 days. Imagine a year. While others are still making excuses, you'll be building results. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly. That's how millionaires are made. Not overnight, but over time. With discipline that most people don't have. So don't stop now. You've come too far to go back. You've built momentum. You've built identity. You've built proof that you can do hard things. Now protect it, guard it, and most importantly, keep going. Because the version of you that you've been chasing, it's no longer ahead of you. It's becoming you every single morning. At 5 a.m., this is where everything comes together. Not the alarm, not the routine, but the result of who you've become. Because the truth is, 5 a.m. was never the goal. The goal was the version of you that 5 a.m. creates. Disciplined, focused, relentless. The kind of person who doesn't wait for the right moment, but creates it. Look back at who you were before this. Hitting snooze, delaying your goals, telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." And now, you don't wait anymore. You act. That's the shift. And that shift is what changes everything. Because once you become someone who takes action consistently, success stops being a question of if. It becomes a matter of when. But let's be clear about something. This journey never ends. There's no final level where you suddenly made it and stopped showing up. There's always another level, another goal, another version of you waiting to be built. And the habits you created, they're not temporary. They're your foundation. Because without discipline, success doesn't last. People can get lucky. People can get opportunities. But without habits, they lose it. You're building something different, something stable, something real. Because you didn't just chase results. You built the system that creates results. And that's what makes you dangerous. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake you could make at this stage. Thinking you can go back. Thinking you can return to your old habits. Just for a while. Because once you've experienced control, chaos feels different. Once you've experienced discipline, laziness feels heavier. You won't enjoy it the same way anymore. And that's a good thing. It means you've outgrown your old self. So, don't shrink back to fit a version of you that no longer exists. Keep expanding. Keep evolving. keep raising your standards. Because standards are what protect your future, not motivation, not inspiration. Standards, the standard that you wake up early, the standard that you do the work, the standard that you don't quit when it gets hard. And once those standards are locked in, your life reflects them. Now imagine your future if you continue this path. Waking up early, working with focus, building consistently. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. And one day, you look around and realize you're living the life you once dreamed about, not because of luck, but because of the small decisions you made daily. That's the power of this routine. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's unstoppable. Because while others were sleeping, you were building. While others were complaining, you were working. While others were waiting, you were moving. And that difference compounds. Now here's the final truth you need to understand. There will still be hard days. Days where you feel tired. Days where things don't go your way. Days where you question everything. But your routine? That's your anchor. No matter how chaotic life gets, you return to it. You wake up. You move. You focus. You build. Again and again. Because discipline doesn't remove difficulty. It gives you the strength to handle it. And that's what makes you unstoppable. So from here on, this is no longer something you're trying. This is who you are. You are the person who wakes up at 5 a.m. You are the person who does the work. You are the person who doesn't quit. And that identity, that's your greatest asset. Because once your identity aligns with your goals, there's nothing that can hold you back. So the next time that alarm rings, it's not a question anymore. It's not a struggle. It's a confirmation, a reminder of who you become. You don't hesitate. You don't negotiate. You execute. Because your future doesn't depend on motivation. It depends on what you do consistently. And you've already proven you can do it. Now it's time to live it. Every day, at 5 a.m.,